Let's talk about our very first game. It is an expansion to the legendary and infamous turn-based strategy game, XCOM 2. Let's take a look.
Supposed to be here. At last, a true battle. Oh, if only you knew the truth.
There were 3 resistance groups that we consider a legitimate threat to Advent. Together, they'd make one hell of a fighting force. Too bad they hate each other.
So, you do exist.
They were sent here to purge the lost.
You are safe here. That can't be good.
Advent Hobbit. I suppose we should begin then.
Now the real war begins.
Here with me to talk about XCOM 2 War of the Chosen is the creative director of XCOM 2 over at Firaxis, Jake Solomon. Pleasure to have you here today.
This is very exciting. We finally get to talk about this, so yes, I'm very pumped. Thank you for having us.
Well then tell us, what is War of the Chosen all about?
Well, so the goal with this game really was to make something massive. So we added a ton of new enemies, lots of new soldier classes, new environments, story, strategy systems, just tons of new toys for players to engage with.
And I understand that it's an expansion that's even larger than any of the ones you've done previously.
Yeah, easily twice the size of the previous XCOM expansion. It is massive.
Well, let's go ahead and start talking about some of the content that's in there. Who are the Chosen?
The Chosen, right? You saw them, they starred in the trailer. So they were designed to be the ultimate enemies of XCOM. They are 3 almost champions of the alien army. And they have 3 very distinct personalities and 3 very distinct fighting styles. And the player is going to get to know those very well because over the course of a whole game, they're going to fight each of those Chosen multiple times. And the Chosen, just like the player, they get stronger over the course of the game. They learn new skills, new abilities. They even gain new procedural strengths that the player is going to have to contend with.
So in a sense, it's not like a normal enemy where you might see a Chosen in one battle and a Chosen in the next. It will be the same Chosen again and again and again, getting new strengths.
That's right. And so they always have something new up their sleeve because they're always learning sort of new tricks.
Well, you mentioned the personalities of the different Chosen.
Yeah.
Walk me through who the Chosen are and what these strengths and weaknesses might be.
Yeah, so for example, there's the assassin, and her personality is tied up in duty and honor. She feels very honor-bound to serve her masters, her creators, and she does it, of course, by hunting down XCOM and killing soldiers, you know.
A natural expression of identity.
We're bringing back some familiar elements from earlier games, yes.
Yeah.
But combat-wise, she's a mix of stealth and close-quarters combat, so she can vanish from sight, and she uses that to get in close on the soldiers and use her blade. So, like the other Chosen, she's very powerful, and she has a sort of unique fighting style that the player hasn't seen before.
And we've talked about this new obstacle in the form of the Chosen. You know, mentioned the assassin. Who are the other 2?
There's the hunter, that's more of a long-range sniper.
Yeah.
And then we have the warlock, which is, you know, a warlock. So, doesn't he look like a warlock? So yeah, they all have very unique skill sets, and so it's fun to fight each of them.
What about the new tools that players have in order to try to overcome this obstacle of the Chosen?
Yes, so as you saw in the trailer, XCOM is not the only resistance movement on Earth. So in War of the Chosen, you have these three factions out there, and like the Chosen, they all have distinct philosophies and distinct fighting styles. But for the player to get access to those, first they have to win those factions over. They have to recruit them to the XCOM cause. But when you do, you have access to the most powerful soldiers we've ever created. So
and we're taking a look at the Reaper right now. What's the gameplay of the Reaper?
That's right, the Reapers. So they are sort of stealth marksmen and saboteurs. Then we have the Skirmishers, which are actually defectors from the alien army.
Oh, that makes sense with the art style. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Look at those fingers. Yeah, so they're half alien human hybrids, and they're sort of like single soldier wrecking crews. They're really powerful. And then we have the Templars, and they're the most mysterious of the factions. They are psionic wildlings, and they work a little differently because they build up power over multiple attacks that they can then unleash in more devastating abilities.
So it's sort of like a mini resource management mechanic specifically for the Templars.
It definitely is. There's trade-offs there where as they gain focus, you either want to keep it because it makes them stronger, or you can spend it on these really powerful abilities.
Now, in the trailer, we got the chance to briefly look at the Lost. And though we didn't see them too much, I wanted to get the chance for you to talk about them a little more now. Who are they?
Right. So the Lost, this comes out of the idea that the original alien invasion happened 20 years ago. And in that invasion, the aliens destroyed some of the greatest cities of the world, and we've never been back. So in War of the Chosen, we go back. And what you find there are the Lost, these handsome...
I thought that everyone in the cities died, but apparently they're alive and well. They're doing fine.
Yeah, as you can see, they've weathered the last 20 years really well. So, these are heavily mutated humans. And a single Lost is not going to pose much of a challenge.
Sure.
But unfortunately, you don't fight single Lost. They move in large swarms. And so when you go into the cities, these swarms are drawn to the sound of combat, and they never stop coming. And there is a silver lining, which is that the Lost don't like aliens either. So,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so once the Lost show up, then everybody's fighting for their lives.
And I know that a big hallmark of the XCOM games is the sort of tactical maneuvers of the AI that in the same way you're planning, it's planning too. But the Lost behave quite differently.
Yeah, they're mindless. So the idea is that you have this tactical combat going on against you versus the Advent, the aliens, and then all of a sudden this horde shows up and it throws everybody's plans out of whack. And then you can even have maps where they are chosen, lost, you're fighting the Advent at the same time, and it makes for some very, very beautiful chaos. It is definitely unlike any other XCOM missions you've played.
Well, Jake, you're the first guest out, so I'm going to ask you the big question.
Okay.
When do we get to play it?
We get to play this. War of the Chosen comes out August 29th, so very soon.
Just 2 months.
That's right, very soon on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. So people should follow XCOM on Twitter and Facebook if they want to keep up with all the latest XCOM information.
And Jake didn't want to do this, but I'm going to make him do it. Follow Jake on Twitter. It's at Solomon Jake. Follow him, say hello, and tell him you're proud to be a follower.
Yes, please, thank you. I don't like self-promotion.
Don't worry, I got you covered.
I
At Jake
Sean
Solomon.
for that. Thank you.
It's at Jake Solomon. At Jake Solomon. Thanks so much for joining me today. Jake Solomon, creative director of XCOM 2.
Thank you. Thanks.